This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven Sun. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching and participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV on this Thursday night, December the 17th, 2020, the day after the first snowstorm in a while in this area. Joining me as always in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, coming to you live from his underground bunker in liberal Bastion land, the center part of the state, the non-genetically proven Sun. How you doing?
What's up? I'm good.
You got more snow than we did.
Yeah, about 14 inches.
Yeah. We got in that snow hole for like 3 hours last night.
That's good. It snowed for about 14 straight hours.
And we actually had one in that snow hole. It kind of changed over to sleet too. So we only got, like, in my backyard, your old backyard, we got about 6 to 7 inches. But the sleet made it kind of hard to shovel, so yeah, you got to buy me a snowblower for Christmas now that you're not here to shovel anymore.
I'll get you that electric one.
That's fine, as long as it's a bigger electric one. That's fine. That's
you don't
fine.
Want a little one?
No, I don't want a little one. I'll take a bigger electric one. So some places got hit really hard. I don't know if you saw. Like Binghamton, New York, they had like 41, 42 inches.
I did see that.
That's a lot of snow.
That's similar to what we had about, what, like 5 years ago?
No.
4 or 5 years ago?
No. The largest one that's been since I've been alive that I've seen was January of 1996 when we had 3 feet.
There was one not that long ago that we had like 3 feet.
We did not.
Oh my God, we did.
There was one that we had about 2.5 feet.
Oh my God, I know we had more than that.
No, with the blowing and the drifting, we had 3 feet. But we didn't have 3 feet of snow.
Well, let me go find it.
So,
it'll take a while.
I was looking at myself, like, in the monitor as our, introduction was playing. I'm like, God, it almost looks like I have sleepwear on.
Yeah.
I do not have sleepwear on. I have an undershirt. But I got a flannel shirt.
Your little post, it says about 3.5 feet at the end of the driveway.
Yes, that's because there was blowing and drifting. We got the actual storm was between 2 and 2.5 feet.
Whatever. Just going by your Facebook post.
What was the date of that?
January 23rd, 2016.
2016.
I said 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago now. Yeah.
Sophomore in high school.
Speaking of, I got a notification today in my Amazon photos. Today's the 5-year anniversary of your only 300 in the high school bowling for Weiser.
Great messenger I threw.
Yeah. Although I'm not sure it was the messenger that got out the 10 pin.
The fourth bowler shot 289.
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
And we barely shot 1,200 that game, and we had a 289 and 300. Good job.
Yeah. And of course, you did it against who? And Tatum?
Who might have shot half of our score.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more. Maybe they got to 700.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't have done it. I mean, you guys were the best team, but you couldn't have done it against a good team.
I don't know. Wilson, or at that time we didn't face Wilson. Exeter, we faced Exeter that year twice.
3 times if you count the finals.
We lost again.
Yeah. Yeah. At your home alleys, at Burke's.
After coming off a 34-30 against Wilson,
Yeah.
where of all of our 15 total games, there was 14 above 200,
Yeah.
and the other one was a 150.
Yeah. I blame Ricky for your loss. Ricky White.
Ricky White.
Yes. When Lou from Exeter subbed out Antonio and put in Ricky. I don't know.
Yeah, and then he stuck out.
Yeah, he kind of changed the momentum.
Yeah.
Probably the worst starting bowler on their team. But you guys won it the next year.
Out of straight luck.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway, it's a football Thursday night here on Phatts TV. We're taking a break.
There is football tonight. I think it's a pretty poopy game.
There is, and I gotta put my plays in.
Sharks Raiders, what a game!
Yes, could be a good game. So I'm gonna say this a couple times, but just in case if I forget why it's on my mind now. The next 2 weeks, we're only going to be doing shows on Wednesday. So no Tuesday, Thursday for the next 2 weeks. Next Thursday is Christmas Eve. We always travel on Christmas Eve. And I don't feel like packing up all this stuff and taking it with us. And praying that the internet connection is good. And the Thursday after is New Year's Eve. I mean, not that anybody's going to be going anywhere. But it's your first New Year's Eve as the age of 21. I'm thinking you may not be kind of with it.
I don't know what I'll be doing.
Yeah. You might be. You might be
up here. There's nobody here, and there's no parties anywhere because they get busted now.
Yeah, you still might be pretty hammered by 2:00 in the afternoon.
Jesus. What, did Penn State lose or something? Their bowl to like UCF.
So in a little bit, we'll get to our Phatts Fantastic five plays for the week. One of us had a winning week last week. One of us did not have a winning week last week. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we're going to talk some college football first. We're going to go over some of the championship games. This is the first time ever that you have championship games commingled in with like regular season games. So it's like really weird. It's like, who the hell is going to be watching these other games? Like, who's really interested on Saturday afternoon at 3:30 watching the Missouri-Mississippi State game when you have Clemson and Notre Dame kicking off at the same time?
You mean Penn State, Illinois?
That's at 5:30, so that's a little later.
I'll still be watching that game too.
Yes, I know.
We'll be watching that game while I'll also have the Clemson game on.
But seriously, I mean, other than family members, is there going to be about 12 people watching Missouri and Mississippi State?
Maybe fans of Missouri or Mississippi State might have it on the side.
That's tough. That's tough. All right, we're only going to go over the big championship games. We'll leave the smaller conferences out. And if we skip a game, it's because they're in our Phatts Fantastic Five. One of us has it in the Phatts Fantastic Five. So, let's actually start off with tomorrow night's Pac-12, I guess it's called now, championship game, with USC and the substitute team, Oregon. Yes. I believe it was supposed to be Washington, but Washington has COVID issues, so they had to drop out.
Supposed to be Washington.
So now it's Oregon.
Oregon.
We use Barstool Sportsbook. That's our official website to get all of our lines. Mostly because I have an account there. It's connected with Hollywood Casino. So, by the way, did you see the price of Penn stock lately?
No.
Yeah, it was at like 89 the other day.
Still sold at about 18.
Yeah, it was at 80 freaking 9. I saw your Mara was up over $10 today.
Didn't look.
Yeah, you don't want to look.
I know. I thought I was happy when I said it at $350. Money off of it. I made like $500 off of it.
Yeah, just think how much you could have made if you didn't sell. Or got back in when it went down.
Yeah, I would have like tripled my money.
But you wanted to wait till it got down further, and it never happened. Kind of like us with Penn. We should learn a lesson here. All right, so USC is favored by 3 in the game with an over-under of 63.5. What are you thinking? You have an opinion on this game? By the way, if you have an opinion on this game, our message board, or any game, our message board is live and operational. Feel free to chime in and let me know what you're thinking. Let me know where you're watching us from tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Do you want my opinion on this game?
Yes, I'm waiting for your opinion.
I think the line is very fair.
Mm-hmm. Take 2.
USC should definitely be favored as they're 5-0, and Oregon has lost their last 2 games. Yes, maybe, if it ever wants to come up. They lost to, Oregon State and then lost to Cal.
I watched that Oregon State game. Cal's a bad loss.
Cal is a bad loss. I will say Cal is a bad loss. But I think Oregon may cover. I don't think they'll win, but I think it'll be closer than 3.
All right.
I think Oregon has some decent talent on their squad. But are they going to be up for this game?
Who? Oregon?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yes. It's still a championship game, even though they're a substitute team.
Or is USC going to be like... The only thing I could be worried about USC is about this is going to be an easy game. But...
Do you have a strong enough opinion where if you were going to bet, you were going to place a bet?
No.
No. Okay.
I'd be too worried that... I'd be like, if you made me, I'd take Oregon to cover.
Uh-huh.
But then I could also see USC winning this game by like 10,
okay.
13.
Okay. Oregon's not winning this game.
Okay.
I don't know how many of you have been watching USC games this year, but 3 out of their 5 victories have happened in the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
They beat Arizona State 28-27. They beat Arizona 34-30. Then they beat Utah 33-17, but that was Utah's first game of the season, if I remember correctly. Then they beat Washington State 38-13, and then they beat UCLA 43-38, and they were down multiple scores late in that game, and then they rallied. So I think it's going to be basically the same thing. They're going to score late, and they're going to win. They're either going to win by 3 or they're going to win by 4. So if you decide to bet, if you take USC, either you're going to push or you're going to win by a point, because that's just the way the USC games are this year. They can't run the ball. They can't. They don't have a lot of passing. They had 5 yards rushing against Washington State, and they scored 38 points. Very interesting.
I mean, their rushing leader has 54 carries for 238 yards.
Yeah. They cannot run the ball. They cannot run the ball at all. All right, so the Big Ten championship game. Your Ohio State Buckeyes against the Northwestern Wildcats. The line is down actually to 20. as of right now. Over under of 57. You got an opinion?
Yeah, as a Penn State fan, I'm pissed off about this. Because before the season, they came up with a rule, and all the ADs agreed to it. 6 games, right? Right.
Right.
How many games did Ohio State play?
5.
Right. How many games did Indiana play?
Did they play 5 or 6?
5.
But aren't they under COVID protocols now or something?
They're under COVID protocols. My bad. They played enough to qualify, but they're under COVID. And then Maryland, how many games did they play? Like 2.
Maryland has not played many.
So who's 4th in the Big Ten?
That would be the Penn State Nittany Lions.
And how many games did they play?
6 or 7
6.
or 8. 8.
8. They played
8.
all their games.
Yes.
It's bullshit.
Okay, so you want a 3-5 team to go to the championship game?
I will definitely say Ohio State is definitely the best team in the conference. No crap.
Yes.
But nobody wants Ohio State in there except Ohio State fans. Ohio State in there.
Wrong.
Oh, sorry, all the schools want it because they get extra money when they make the playoffs at 6-0, and Texas A&M doesn't at 9-1.
Correct. Correct. Each conference that makes the playoffs gets $6 million to be split up amongst all the teams in the conference. That's why the rule was changed.
Won't it be so funny if Texas A&M becomes number 4?
Well, Ohio State better lose.
Yeah, because the committee's biased. Very biased. They want the same 4 teams in there every year. But let's just go straight up on the game. So Ohio State, according to ESPN, has a 91% chance to win the game. I think that's a little low. I think it should be about 98.
Well, don't forget, Northwestern is 6-1.
What's the line here? 20.
20. It's down to 20.
So we look at Northwestern, and they're not a scoring team.
They're not.
Besides their first game against Maryland, they scored 43, but since they've scored 21, 21, 27, 17, 29, and 28 against the Big Ten West. The Big Ten West is kind of crap.
Kind of?
Kind of. I mean, Wisconsin.
Kind of?
Wisconsin's not awful, but they're pretty crap. Iowa's, they beat Iowa. That's a good win. But other than that, I mean, they lost to Michigan State. That's awful.
Yeah, they're 6-1 and lost to potentially the worst team in the league. Definitely the worst team in the East.
It might be between them and Illinois for the worst. So,
and by the way, you saying that Wisconsin's not a bad team, yeah, they have a losing record.
Was it 2-3?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, Northwestern doesn't really give up a whole lot of points either.
They do not.
But they haven't really played an offense yet. Their best offense they played is
probably Iowa. Well, you would think Iowa, but Iowa wasn't clicking on all cylinders yet.
So, they played Maryland, Maryland's offense isn't bad now, but that was the first game of the season. Iowa, they didn't click yet. Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Minnesota, Illinois. No offenses are good there.
Yeah.
So, they really don't have a whole lot to show, in my opinion. So, will Ohio State cover? Probably. I can see this game being Ohio State somewhere in the 50s, Northwestern 13.
Oof. Okay.
No, but I don't like it because I don't know how Northwestern's going to match up here.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to show me what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, did Ohio State play? Ohio State played Michigan State. Big whoop. I mean, if Ohio State played someone like Iowa, I could get a better grip of what's going to happen here, but
It
you
would
can't
be
really tell.
Iowa would give them the best game right now.
Yeah. So don't bet it. That's my take. Don't bet it.
Don't bet it, huh?
Ohio State could win by 10 for all I know, but they could win by 40 for all I know.
Well, you definitely have it right with Ohio State's going to score on the Northwestern defense. Yes, Northwestern plays a good defense, but as you said, they really haven't played any good offensive teams. Best offensive team they played was Iowa, but Iowa wasn't clicking on all cylinders yet. The question is, how many points is Northwestern going to put up on Ohio State? Let's face it, Ohio State's defense isn't as good as it's been. And I'm telling you right now, mark it down. Assuming Ohio State wins and gets to the playoff, you know what? They could even probably lose and make the playoffs.
It's so hard to put a 5-1 team over Texas A&M.
Especially if Notre Dame beats Clemson for a second time.
Yeah, then it would be Bama, Notre Dame.
Right, we'll talk about that later.
Blah, blah, blah.
I'm telling you right now, Ohio State does not win the semifinal game. Telling you that right now.
Especially if they're 4.
Which they're not going to be.
No.
They won't be. They'll be 3 because you got the number 2 going up against the number 3.
Right.
And they don't want to see them play for a third time unless it's going to be in the championship game. So Ohio State's going to move up to 3 and play the winner of whoever wins the Clemson-Notre Dame game. Is basically what's going to happen. And if it's Clemson's going to roll them right off the field. Clemson could put up 60 on that Ohio State defense. Alabama could put up, I'm going to tell you right now, Alabama could put up 70 on the Ohio State defense.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
But in this game, at 20, I'll take Ohio State. I'm not betting the game. I don't like the game. The Big 12. Oklahoma, 5.5 over Iowa State with an over-under of 58. What do you think?
So, clearly, since we're talking about it now, neither of us took it. But, this game, when I first looked at it, I was like, Iowa State. You're getting 5.5. Oklahoma, what have they done recently? Last time they played was 12-5. They beat Baylor. They beat West Virginia. That was postponed. And then the game before they beat Oklahoma State. That's a pretty good win for a rivalry. They won 41-13. But other than that, and they lost to Iowa State early in the season in October by 7.
They did.
And they lost to Kansas State the week before that as well.
Yes.
What has Iowa State done? They beat West Virginia, big whoop. They beat Texas close. I wouldn't say Texas is all that great. They're okay. They're not wonderful. Beat Baylor, Kansas. They lost to Oklahoma State. Nothing. And they lost to Louisiana first game of the season. This is one of those games I could see going either way. Okay. I think the line is a little high, in my opinion. I could see more of like a 3, 2.5. Probably in Oklahoma's favor. I could even see possibly like a 1 here. Okay. At 5.5, I'd probably take Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be super confident with it.
Got ya. Okay. If I bet the game, I will take Oklahoma, giving the 5.5.
Okay.
The one thing that Oklahoma has done really good over the past month of the season is their defense has now stepped up. I mean, let's face it, early in the season, and they had Iowa State in their second game of the season, their defense was trash. You know, they gave up 38 to Kansas State, for crying out loud. Do you remember where we were the night of that game, by the way?
What were we at a Trump rally?
We were.
About to say, well, we haven't really hung out this semester except at Trump rallies.
Yep, that's when he was up in Harrisburg. So then they come back the next week and they lose to Iowa State. They give up 37. And then they come back the next week and give up 45 to Texas. But since then, they've given up 14, 28, 9, 13, and 14. Now, they haven't played juggernaut offenses since then.
They play Kansas.
Yes. I mean, but they did only give up 13 to Oklahoma State.
Right.
Oklahoma State, who's averaging... where is it? Oh, it's got to be on this page somewhere. I can find it quicker if I just look up their scores. Some games are putting up points, some games are not. I like the revenge factor in this game. Oklahoma has won the conference championship, I don't know how many years in a row.
A lot.
Yes. I mean, I'm not that much of a fan of this game. Will I bet it? Slight chance. But if I do, it'll be Oklahoma. So let's move on. Do you have an opinion in the Louisiana Coastal Carolina game? Coastal Carolina's giving 3.
Now this was another game when I first saw it. I was just like, that doesn't seem very high.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know a whole lot about either of these teams.
I mean, at least these teams have played some games.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got 9-1 Louisiana and 11-0 Coastal Carolina.
Yes.
Both ranked.
And Louisiana's only loss was the Coastal Carolina.
By 3.
By 3. They also beat Iowa State, by the way.
They did, first game of the season.
They did.
I don't have much of an opinion on this game, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Okay. If I play the game, I would take Louisiana getting the 3. I would love it if I could get 3.5, but that's going to take a lot to get it off of 3. And I would lean towards the over at 54.5.
All I can tell you is Coastal Carolina likes to run the ball more.
They do. All right, Missouri, Mississippi State, they'll have 12 people watching that, so we don't need to discuss that. We are going to skip the Notre Dame Clemson game. That means one of us has it in our Phatts Fantastic 5. We are skipping the Buffalo Ball State game because one of us has it in their Phatts Fantastic 5. I'm sure we don't have either of us have an opinion on the Boise State San Jose State game.
I'm surprised Boise State's a 6.5, to be honest.
Okay.
But other than that, I never looked into why.
Okay. I have no opinion.
No,
Alabama, sweet home, giving a big number, 17, to Florida, with a very large over-under as well at 74.5. Can Alabama cover something that high against Florida?
Let me look at Florida's defensive stats here.
Well, let's see here. They just played LSU last week and lost.
In the Fog Bowl. mean,
in the swamp, in the fog.
camera couldn't even be in the normal spot. It was on the line of scrimmage and stuff. It looked so weird.
Yeah, you know what? Go back and watch the Fog Bowl game with the Eagles and the Bears in the playoffs.
Could you see?
No. No.
Was there a lot of running the ball?
You couldn't see.
Wait, yeah, because they didn't have floating cameras back then.
Right.
So you just looked at the box.
Right. The Eagles won the game, though, I can tell you that.
All right.
No comments on our live stream yet. Again, you guys like a game? You like us? Whatever. Comment.
So, just looking at basic stats, their total yards for the average, Alabama's about 25 yards better. 535 to 513. Those are pretty insane stats. Not going to lie. Florida likes to pass the ball. I can tell you that. They average almost 400 yards a game in passing. They will not pass for 400 yards this game. You really think they could pass for 400 yards?
Probably not. But you have a better chance of getting 400 yards passing than you do getting, let's say, 150 yards rushing against Alabama's defense.
I think Florida averages 127 yards. Do I think Alabama can cover this? Yes. Will they? I don't think so. But I think it'll be somewhere around a 14-point game. So it's a little close for my comfort to want to take either team.
And you've been high on Alabama this year.
I have been, but they also really haven't played. I mean, giving 17 against, a top 10 team now. Alabama did beat A&M by 28. A&M's 5.
And they beat Georgia by 17.
Beat Georgia by 17. I mean, they're putting up points and not giving up a whole lot. That's for sure. But I don't know. Maybe there'll be more tension in this game.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not playing the game myself. This is a freebie for Alabama. They could sit this game out and still make the playoffs. Obviously, they want to win the conference title. Obviously. So it's not like they're not going to try. But let's just say they were to lose, 38-35, 38-31, 38-28. They're still going to the playoffs. A one-loss Alabama team is still going to the playoffs.
This year, definitely.
Probably even over a two-loss Florida team. Florida's loss to LSU kind of really screwed them over.
Yes, because if they won and then win this game, they would probably be in the playoffs.
They would have.
And then you have the argument.
Especially if Notre Dame beats Clemson.
Then you have the argument of that.
Yes.
Like, now we have, two-loss Clemson. You probably got to throw them out. But then you have one-loss A&M, no-loss Ohio State, one-loss Florida, one-loss Alabama, who would be in. Notre Dame would end up being one in that scenario.
Yes.
That would be that would absolutely have to call, if it didn't already in 2016, call for the expansion of the playoff.
Actually, playoff expansion is coming. And not for the reason that you think. Well, kind of for the reason that you think. Don't be surprised next year when they go to 8 teams. Because they need money.
Yeah.
Too many. I mean, let's face it. College athletics, especially in the bigger schools, really depend on the money the football program is bringing in. Let's face it. The baseball team isn't drawing 60,000 to a game.
No.
The Penn State men's soccer team isn't getting 100,000 fans in their stadium.
Maybe like 4.
You know? The Georgia gymnastics team isn't bringing in the bodies that the Georgia football team is bringing in.
Right.
So, yeah, a lot of programs are hurting. A lot are hurting. Don't be surprised when you hear that certain schools are going to eliminate certain sports for a few years because they can't afford it. You know, God forbid, you know, they charge, you know, $20,000 a semester for a kid to go there at some schools. Now, some schools are rather cheap. Like, if you live in Nebraska and go to, excuse me, COVID, and go to Nebraska, it's rather cheap. It's only like $8,000 a semester or something like that. It's not that expensive. All state schools should be that way. You listening to me, Penn State?
Penn State's not that expensive compared to 8,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, till you got to live there.
I'm not living there.
Yeah, but you're still paying rent.
I am paying rent.
Uh-huh.
I am paying rent.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. If you force me to bet the game, I'll take Alabama to pull away in the second half. If you were to force me. Last game, Cincinnati and Tulsa. Cincinnati given 2 touchdowns. They are undefeated. Over under 45. What an interesting over under on a team that averages almost 45 points a game.
Right.
Any opinion?
No, I didn't really look at this game, but Cincinnati should be able to cruise to a victory, you would think. This is one of those scenarios where Cincinnati will be 9-0 and be nowhere near the playoffs.
Actually, they've lost spots the last couple weeks.
Yeah. This is one of those where that ridiculous factor comes in. They're going to look like a very, very solid team, but they're still underranked to a 7-2 Florida.
Yes.
Makes no sense to me. I mean, I understand they're not playing very good opponents, but this is where that point... I've seen brackets, and they look really cool, of 16-team playoff brackets.
Yes.
Where... And then you mix them up. It's by random draw. So one could face 2. No, sorry, not one. One could face 5 in the first round. There was 4.
Yeah, that's... Like, they would never do that.
It would be 1 through 4, get their... each bracket. It'd be like the March Madness bracket.
Yeah, they would never do that.
Everything else is completely random. Be a random draw. Cool idea. But no, I don't have an opinion on this one.
Okay. Since you wanted to bring up Florida and Cincinnati, if they were to play each other, what's the line?
I don't know.
Florida would be a 10-point favorite, probably.
Probably, but I don't know. I mean, the problem is these teams never get the chance to actually face someone else who's in the top 10.
Yeah, that's the problem. The big guys don't let the little guys come in and play. I don't know why the over-under on this game is 45. I'm going to have to look into that. If I can't, like, if there's injuries that aren't causing that, like, if there's nothing, that overs just seems way, way, way too low. I mean, Cincinnati averages 41 points a game. So, looking at their injury report, don't see anything. They have 2 people, a tight end and a defensive tackle. They're both questionable. So, they're pretty healthy. Tulsa, Their injury report. Their starting QB.
Zach Smith.
No, that's not their starting QB. One of their backups is out. So, yeah. I don't know why this is 45. I have no idea. But I'll certainly be looking at playing the over if I can't figure it out. That just seems too easy. I mean, 30. Yeah, I mean, the quick line that I'm getting is 51 for an over-under. So, yeah. Or there's other ways you could bet. Like, you could bet just a certain team to score a certain number of points. At 45, with Cincinnati being a 14-point favorite, it would be 29 to 29.5. That could be a look to go over with Cincinnati only. That's a possibility. All right, so let's bring up the Phatts Fantastic 5 for the week. And then we'll go over the games that we have in the Phatts Fantastic 5, and that'll wrap us up for the night because it's already going on 7:45. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? It flies. Yes. So, the non-genetically proven son, he went 2-3 last week. 2-3. So I'm going to leave the Phatts Fantastic 5 up over our faces.
I blame Cleveland.
You had the under in the Alabama-Arkansas game, which you had handicapped perfectly. You said Alabama's going to get up to a big lead, and then they're going to do nothing the second half of the game. Mm-hmm. That was a perfect handicap because that's exactly what happened. You had Illinois getting 13.5 against Northwestern. That was not a perfect handicap.
Illinois, they cover if they do this. Northwestern fumbles the ball on their own 4. Illinois gets it. They score a touchdown, they cover. If they get knocked back, okay, whatever, 3 and out. Kick the 35-yard field goal that they had. They missed it. Mm-hmm. Instead of being down 17, you're only down, 14 late. Maybe you're trying a little bit harder.
Maybe. You had Iowa getting 1.5 against Wisconsin. I thought that was easy. I'm not sure. That was the last game I threw out of my plays last week. I don't know why I threw it out. Well, I do know why I threw it out.
That game was easy.
I basically fucked up in my head and was thinking. I was thinking their starting quarterback was out. No, it was Indiana's starting quarterback that was out. That was just stupid of me. You had Kansas City -7 over Miami. I believe Kansas City won by 6.
Yeah, 2 interceptions first quarter. That's all I need to say.
And you had Cleveland getting 2.5 on Monday night against Baltimore.
They scored 42 and lost.
They did.
That's all I have to say. Their defense did not want to show up this game.
They did. Strange ending on a safety.
Oh, yeah, Matt. And the line did go to 3.
It did.
I looked at the line during the game, and I was like, because I couldn't remember what I had, and I saw 3. I'm like, I didn't have 3. I know I had 2.5. Mm-hmm. And I saw, they're going to down by 3. A game's over. And then there's a safety. I'm like, oh, imagine losing on that. Or winning.
I lost $1,000 once on a safety.
Last play?
I've told that story. No, it was under 20 seconds to go. It was over-under, Ohio State, Texas. I told you that story.
Yeah, imagine Ohio State actually playing Texas now. They can't play a good team.
All right, so here's the non-genetically proven son's pick. He is still a really good 41-29 on the year. That's a damn good record. He's got 4 college games, and he has the 2 games that we didn't go over. He's got Buffalo. The C means college. I didn't want anybody to think that's pros. He's got Buffalo -13.5 over Ball State. He's got Rutgers. getting 6.5 at home against Nebraska. He's got Notre Dame getting 10.5. That's a big line against Clemson. He's got the under in the Illinois-Penn State game at 52.5. And he's got the Browns traveling to the Giants on Sunday Night Football, giving 5. So, let's talk about your picks.
Okay.
Quickly. Buffalo.
All right, with Buffalo, 5-0. They haven't played a whole ton. Ball State, 5-1. Buffalo averages 51.8 points a game. Ball State averages a shade under 34. Buffalo averages against 21 points a game. That's really all I have to say.
That's it?
They rush. They're amazing at running the ball. That's all I know.
They are.
They average almost 350 yards rushing a game. The only thing that may hinder it is Ball State doesn't give up that many rushing yards a game. They give up a shade under 150.
Mm-hmm. Well, but they haven't faced a rushing attack like this.
That's
either.
what I was going to say. They
Mm.
haven't really faced a running back like Buffalo.
I mean, yes, they give up on average 3.9 yards a carry, Ball State. But that's against teams that average 4.2 yards a carry. Buffalo averages 7.5 yards.
And the very interesting thing, their running back is like 5'2".
Yeah, 5 foot like nothing.
And he's so fast.
He is. He is.
So I could see Buffalo putting up another 50 here. And I can't see Ball State putting up more than 30. So
Then why didn't you like the over?
what's the over?
Like 67 and a half?
I said no more than 30. My luck, it'll be 7-4.
67 and a half. Yeah, here's Buffalo's rushing statistics. 182, 205, 396, 515, 428. Now, it's not like they're playing good teams like the Little Sisters of the Poor or Scranton State School for the Deaf.
The MAC is not exactly the most
Yeah,
proven.
but like
conference.
they played Bowling Green, who could be, they're battling like Massachusetts for the worst team in college football. I'm not joking. They're bad. They're bad. But, you know, like they were only a 7.5 point favorite against Kent, and they put up over 500 yards rushing on them and scored 70 points.
Right.
Gave up 41. Rutgers! 6.5.
Oh, Rutgers.
If we played it early in the week, we could have got 7, but we use official lines as of about 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. Rutgers playing good ball. They beat Maryland at Maryland last week in overtime, and I only know that because I had Rutgers last week.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. So Rutgers here, they're 3-5. They're playing for a bowl game. Right? Yeah.
Could be. Sure.
I think if they win, they'll get a bowl game.
Depending upon how many bowl games are getting canceled.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State's going to get a bowl game at 4-5, so why shouldn't Rutgers?
Well,
And Nebraska, they're 2-5. At 3-5, they get nothing. I think.
okay.
So I don't think Nebraska really has anything to play for here.
Okay.
And when was the last time Rutgers, if ever, made a bowl?
It's been a while.
So I think the players here are going to get very up for this game.
I agree.
They want. I don't see Nebraska even really getting up for this game. I actually think Rutgers might win this game outright, easily.
I kind of agree. I thought long and hard about putting this game in my picks as well, but I didn't. But actually, when I first looked at the lines earlier this week, when this was 7, that was the first game I saw. I'd rather it at 7 than 6.5, but yeah, I think Rutgers has a good chance of winning that game outright. Absolutely. Gary Schiano really gets his teams to play up. Notre Dame getting 10.5 against Clemson, the rematch. They met, Notre Dame was at home, and they won in double overtime, if I remember correctly.
Yep, I was watching that game.
But Clemson's starting quarterback did not play, but they still had over 400 yards passing that game.
But they did.
So, why you like Notre Dame getting 10.5?
I think this line is absurd, actually. Just for the stat you just said. Okay, so Clemson has Trevor Lawrence playing. Their backup quarterback, he's still good. He still had, 400 some yards passing, as you said.
439.
I don't see Trevor Lawrence doing a whole lot better. Maybe he'll get 500, maybe. But that's not a ton better. I don't think Notre Dame's going to win the game. I could see the revenge factor playing in here. And Clemson, knowing they need a win to make the playoffs. If Notre Dame loses, will they make the playoffs?
If they lose in a close game, they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, if in a close game.
If they get blown out by 35,
I see Clemson winning this game by 1-3.
Wow. Well, my son, non-genetically proven, I'm going to teach you something about gambling right now from somebody who's been doing it in a mediocre fashion for many years. When a line seems too good to be true, it usually is. It won't shock me at all when Clemson wins this game by 24.
Oh my God.
It won't shock me at all. By the way, this line has done nothing but go up. It was 9.5 on Monday. 9.5. Let's take a quick jaunt over to pregame.com and see how the bets are going here for this game. I have a feeling we're going to see more bets on Notre Dame, but more money on Clemson.
All I could tell you is look at my record, 41-29, and let's look at your record.
I got a winning record.
By 1.
2.
2 now. Ooh.
Let's see. Where's the game? Where's the game? Here it is. Actually, no. 50. Actually, it's kind of the other way around. 56% of the bets have been on Clemson, but only 53% of the money has been on Clemson. And according to them, the first line up was 7.
Wow.
So it's gone up 3.5. So the sharps are on Notre Dame. Are on Clemson. This is going to be, I think, your classic pros versus Joes game. The common man is going to be on Notre Dame. The professionals is going to be on Clemson. It'll be interesting to see how the bets go Saturday. How the bets are coming in. It's, just by looking at it, yeah. Hell, Notre Dame beat them by 7. They and now Clemson's favored by over 10? That line, it's almost as if something our friend Matthew says, they're begging you to take Notre Dame. Begging you. Don't be surprised if Clemson wins by more than 20. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say. And at which case, Notre Dame will win by 22.
That's fine.
Illinois, Penn State under 52.5. Illinois just fired their coach and their offensive coordinator. Probably not in the mood to play a game. Coming into, God only knows how the field is going to be. I mean, granted, there's a tarp over the field for all the snow. But I think it's still going to be slippery.
As you just said, Illinois fired their coach and offensive coordinator. They don't really want to play. I would personally think Penn State is going to try in this game. If I could find the game. There it is. Because Penn State, again, just like Rutgers, is 3-5. That's really bad to say. They would be playing for a bowl game, in my opinion. Different scenario here. I'm not sure Penn State will accept their bowl game. I wouldn't surprise me at all if they just packed it up in 4-5 and went home.
A lot of teams are doing that.
Because Penn State is a year in, year out, New Year's Six team. Why in the world do they want to play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl? They're going to get no money from that. They're going to get more money from Ohio State making the playoffs. So, I mean, Illinois, I think, doesn't even want to play this game. They have to come out to Penn State with a slippery field. Penn State, I could see the athletes getting up for this game. Just because from some of them, it's their last game in Beaver Stadium. I don't think Penn State will put up that many points. Their offense isn't amazing. But Illinois' offense is meh. And Penn State defense is really good. At least the last 3 weeks. So I see like a 28-3 kind of game.
Interesting.
Maybe 35-3, but I can't see Illinois putting up that many points. I see a game very similar to Penn State Rutgers not that long ago.
All right. And your last pick, Sunday Night Football. Cleveland giving 5 against the Giants. The big question here, who's going to be quarterbacking the Giants?
All right. So now I see that the line looks like it's moved on ESPN to 4.5. I think this game kind of relies a little bit on the Washington football team for me. Just a little bit. Because if Washington wins, that all but cements the Giants not in the playoffs. All but. Actually, it may. No, they beat Washington twice. So actually, no, it wouldn't. But I think the Browns are going to come out pissed. Their division, yeah, their division's not over either.
Well, no.
They're only 2 games back.
Yeah, I mean, that loss hurt them.
Yeah, I think Cleveland will come out kind of pissed. They'll put up 40-something again. And the Giants ain't putting up 35. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So, 42-17 Browns.
Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, Cleveland is not putting up 42 points on the Giants. That's not happening.
What do you mean?
The Giants, like, their one good thing they do is play defense. How many did Seattle score on them in Seattle? A couple weeks ago?
Seattle is kind of crap anymore. They started out the year so good, and now they're crap.
Hey, they just beat an awesome Jets team by 37.
Oh! You know, the Jets was one game I looked at. I will tell you that was one game I looked at again. Because they're getting 17, and it was a half against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, the Jets are so bad. They could lose that game by 60 if they really tried.
You want to hear an interesting stat about the Jets? This is going to blow your mind.
They've scored. Wait, no, I know what it is. They've scored on their first drive in like the last 6 or 7 games, and it's like a record or something.
In the last 7 games, they've scored either a field goal or a touchdown on their first possession. So last week they got a field goal and didn't score for the rest of the game.
Right. And that's like some sort of record or something, isn't it?
No, I probably not. It could be a team record. That wouldn't surprise me.
That's insane to me. I heard that last week. I'm like, on Red Zone, I'm like, what?
Yes.
No way. They did not score in their first.
All right.
Up to that early lead is what you're telling me.
Yes. So that is the non-genetically proven sons. 5 picks for the week. On to me. I went 3-2 last week. I had a winning week. I had, as previously said, I had Rutgers getting 7. They won outright. I had the Saints giving 6.5, who played a clunker against the Eagles.
Yeah, that was awful.
I had the over in the Minnesota-Tampa Bay game at 52.5, and Minnesota missed 3 field goals. Both kickers missed an extra point. It was not a good game.
You probably could have made some of those field goals.
Probably not. No. I had the over in the Indy Vegas game. They had that, I think, by the third quarter. I think, maybe not. And I had Buffalo Sunday night against Pittsburgh, which was probably the easiest play of the week. Pittsburgh looked tired in the second half.
Until the second half.
Pittsburgh looked tired in the second half. That comes from not getting your full complement of rest. That was like their third game in like 12 days or something like that, or 14 days or 16 days. Like they're not getting their full week's rest. Similar to Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore's a big favorite this week at Jacksonville. They're a 13.5-point favorite. And usually Baltimore loves to run up the score against teams that aren't good. They'll usually win these kind of games by 30 points. But here's the thing. Baltimore, 3 weeks ago, played on a Wednesday. 2 weeks ago, played on a Tuesday. Last week, played on a Monday. Now they're playing on a Sunday. They have, in the last month, have not gotten a full week's rest. One day a week may not sound like a lot, but try playing a game of football and see what it does to your body. So,
especially as a 300-pound lineman.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if Jacksonville keeps that game close, especially with Mr. Mustache back in the starting role.
Who?
Minshew.
Mm.
Or don't be surprised when Baltimore wins by 30.
So I'm guessing you didn't take that game.
I did not. I did take all pro games this week.
And you are awful in pro. Why do you keep taking pro games?
I couldn't find good college games that I liked. I couldn't.
There's me who liked about 9 college games and 1 pro game.
Yeah. But I think I got some really good games.
I hated the
pro. Here's your first look. The non-genetically proven son does not see these picks ahead of time. I see his because I got to type them into the computer. So, on Saturday, Buffalo travels to Denver. I took both Denver getting 6 and under 49 in the game. Now, basically, same thing as I just said. Buffalo played on Sunday night. Now you're expecting them to fly across country and play a Saturday afternoon game. Lack of rest. Plus, you're making them play at a mile-high elevation. Plus, they just came off an emotional game against Pittsburgh. And now they're playing a Denver team who's basically just playing out the string. They're not making the playoffs. This has let down all over it. All over it. I do not expect Buffalo to come close to playing their best game here. Not at all.
And 10 people will be watching it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I will not be one of them.
I will not be one of them either.
So, I got Denver plus 6 and under 49. Houston, Indy over 50.5. These two teams just played a couple weeks ago. And if memory serves me correctly, the over-under was very similar, 50, 50.5, or 51, and it went under. But if you also remember that game, I believe the total points at halftime was 44.
That it was, 44.
And there was a grand total of the second half of 2 points scored.
The over-under was 50.
And you had 44 at half, and the under cashed. There was 2 points scored in the second half. I see this as being a very high-scoring game. Indy's defense isn't great. Houston trying to play good ball. Indy is going to run on Houston all day with their rookie running back, who's one of my studs in fantasy football. I made it to the finals of my fantasy football league for the 3rd year in a row. Trying to win it for the 3rd year in a row.
It's because you play a bunch of blind people.
I go up against...
You don't know what they're playing.
I go up against one of the Heckmans this week in the finals.
Good for you. Who's your quarterback?
Arizona's quarterback.
I forget how your league works, though. I forget who gets more points, the quarterback or the running back.
They both get a lot. I have Tennessee's running back, too. So, I got a stud team. I got a really good team. So, I got the over in Houston, Indy. I got the under 41.5 New England, Miami. Now, that's a low over-under to begin with. The average over-under is somewhere between 48, 48.5, or 49. So, this over-under's, a full touchdown lower. But Miami has injuries galore all over the place. Like, their starting running back is out. Their 2 top wide receivers are out. Defensive side of the ball, they got injuries galore. I think the trainer is out with an Achilles. The water boy, I think, is out with a broken arm. Like, everybody's out for Miami.
But they still have Gesicki.
No, they do not. He's out, too.
God,
He got hurt last week.
they're good tight end.
He got hurt. He's out, too. Telling you. They have nobody. Nobody.
Good receivers, too.
Also, Belichick, usually when he goes up against rookie quarterbacks, wins. So I actually thought about taking New England in this game, but let's face it, Cam Newton sucks. Sorry, Cam. You suck. You look like you were a deer in headlights last week.
Super Bowl.
You look like you were a deer in headlights last week. This game has 16-13 written all over it.
Yeah, 45-30. We get it.
16-13 written all over it. And then the last pick, I can't believe I picked this.
Neither can I.
I cannot believe I took the stinking Eagles.
Neither can I, especially against a team that is on the border of making the playoffs.
The stinking Eagles. I hate the Eagles. Can't stand them.
You like Jalen Hurts, though.
Can't stand the Eagles, mostly because I live in Eagles territory and I just can't stand them. They threw fucking snowballs at Santa Claus. The best video that you'll ever see from the Eagles is after they won the AFC or the NFC Championship game. The guy that was taking video from the subway, and the guy that was running along the subway, and he didn't see that the pole was coming, and he went face first into the pole.
That was amazing.
He face planted into that pole. To talk about a Philly fighter, down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Philly will keep this close in Arizona with Hurst in at quarterback. He didn't do all that bad last week. He sucks at passing. He can't pass.
He went to Oklahoma. He went to the easiest passing conference in the world.
But he started at Alabama, don't forget.
Yeah, and got cut.
No, he transferred because he lost his starting job.
To Tua.
To Tua. Now they're both starting quarterbacks. What do you know?
Yeah, one's on a lot better team.
The only thing that scares me about this game, Philly's secondary is depleted. Vastly depleted. Lots of injuries. I think they only had 3 healthy cornerbacks.
Yeah, Maddox is one of them. He's awful.
Which is good for my fantasy team. Since I got Arizona's quarterback. But Philly, this could be a backdoor. They score late in the game to lose by 4, kind of. Or it's close the entire game, or they're winning the entire game. Who the hell knows? I suck at pros, so.
Didn't win.
So.
Because if they lose this game, then they're out of the playoffs.
Yes, that's why they're also going to win, and then all of a sudden, after Washington loses and the Giants lose, all of a sudden they're going to be right back in the playoff picture.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking Eagles. So, to go over the plays again, the non-genetically proven son. Buffalo in college giving 13.5. Rutgers getting 6.5. Notre Dame 10.5. Getting. The under 52.5 in Illinois, Penn State. And the Brownies given 5. My picks, Denver plus 6. Buffalo, Denver under 49. Houston, Indy over 50.5. New England, Miami under 41.5. And those stinking Eagles plus 6. And those are the Phatts Fantastic 5 for this week. Which means we went very long, and it's just about time for the football game. So we're going to call it a night. You got anything to say before we leave?
That is so like us. I hate college games this week, and I like a lot of them.
That is like us.
I hate the programs. You love them all. That is so like me and you when it comes to betting.
If I was getting 7 with Rutgers, I would have taken Rutgers.
Rutgers is winning that game outright.
I think they could.
They have a lot more to play for than Nebraska does.
You called the game outright last week that didn't happen. Wasn't it last week or was it the week before? Oh, yeah, you said Cleveland's winning that game outright.
They shut up. Who scores 42 in pro and loses? I've seen that countless times in college because nobody plays defense in college.
Hey, I had a chance. I'm in another pool where first place gets like $100 and some a week. And the Monday night game, it was when the Rams played Kansas City in the highest scoring Monday night game ever. And, of course, I had the team that put up 40 some odd whatever points and lost. So I know what that's like. I think that game was like 51-48 or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Browns 42. I'm like, how the hell is this 45-42? I figured if Baltimore was going to put up 45, Cleveland would have just put up like 14 or 20 and given up.
It was a good game in the second half.
I didn't watch it. I just watched them all of a sudden the score be 47-42. I'm like, how?
What I wanted to know is, you know, Baltimore's quarterback went in the locker room supposedly hurt. And then Trace McSorley actually did get hurt. And all of a sudden, Baltimore's starting quarterback was fine. Came running out of the locker room and back out on the field and played the best he played all game. Why was he hurt in the first place? Things that make you go,
But Trace McSorley is better than Lamar Jackson.
Well, not anymore. Not with him being hurt. He's
going to be the backup next year. At least he won't be the third string.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he'll be the Jets starter.
No, he's definitely not better than what's his face.
That's assuming what's his face says I'm not playing for the Jets.
He's also not better than Trevor Lawrence. So,
well, again, that's if Trevor Lawrence basically says the Jets you draft me, I'm sitting out for a year. That has been done in pro football before.
Yeah, and that's kind of the attitude that I don't want.
Eli Manning did it. John Elway did it.
That is not the attitude I want out of my quarterback. You suck. I don't want to be on your team.
I mean, personally, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, why wouldn't I want to play in New York? Other than the tax rate in New Jersey. I mean, think about it. You're right outside the city of New York. The glitz, the glamour. You're a decent-looking guy with your long blonde hair. I don't know. I think it's a perfect match, personally.
He's gonna get hit once and go down.
Actually, what's gonna freaking happen is the Jets will beat New England the last game of the season and not get the first pick.
And then they'll draft Justin Fields, and you'll hate life.
I will. I will.
They will not draft Justin Fields.
They will. I think if they got the number 2 pick, they will trade away the number 2 pick for a shit ton of draft choices.
Yeah, because they don't. Justin Fields isn't any better than what they have now.
No Ohio State quarterback has ever done jack shit in the pros. And it ain't happening with Justin Fields either. Sorry, Justin. Sorry. All right. I'm going to watch some football. We will see you, don't forget, next Wednesday night. We're going to do a little bit of a Christmas show Wednesday. At least part of a Christmas show. Part. I got a gift for you.
Is it a big middle finger?
No. No.
Is it a Merry Christmas, you filthy animal?
No.
I don't want it.
No. You're just going to have to wait till Wednesday to find out. All right. Have a great weekend, and whatever you do, watch some football. Don't go up to the casino if you're in Pennsylvania because they're closed. Be that as it may. Go to a restaurant that's open, though.
A lot of them are open. Is PJ's open?
Well, yeah, but probably you could be open for takeout, but who sits in PJ's and eats anyway?
I have once.
Yeah, but not, it's not a sit-down restaurant. It's a pizza and sandwich shop. You go in there, you pick up food, you leave.
Places are open.
A lot of places are saying, fuck you to the governor, we're staying open. The Westies, of course, stayed open.
They still got their sign up.
I'm sure they do. All right, we will see you Wednesday. And remember, where we go one,
we go all.
Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.